You see a 9-9. Olga Korbut's won a gold medal. There it is.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
You're listening to a podcast from Key Moments in Cold War Sports History, a series showcasing the work of expert sports historians. I'm Vince Hunt and I'm hosting the series, exploring how sport became a frontier in an era of superpower politics and intense international competition. There are more than 30 podcasts in our series now, which you can listen to on iTunes and Stitcher. They're curated by Laura Deal at the Wilson Centre in Washington. Please feel free to rate and review them. Follow us on Twitter at CWIHP and hashtag Cold War Sport. And thanks to our regular listeners for their positive feedback. Being part of the Eastern Bloc during the Cold War didn't always mean towing the party line from Moscow, at least not for Romania. Leader Nicolae Ceausescu ran a policy of keeping lines open to the west as well as to the east, often making independent decisions. Anita Stera teaches sports history at the National School for Sport Coaches in Bucharest. Tell me more.
Ceausescu was a pretty open leader. He took the power in 1965 and he's starting to be pretty open to the West. So in 1969, Nixon came to visit him in Bucharest. Actually, Romania is the first communist country visited by an American president. In the same years, he came to London to visit the Queen. De Gaulle was in Romania. He went to the White House. So he had very good relations with the West part.
How could he do this when Moscow was supposed to be running the communist bloc?
He wanted to be more independent. So the Soviets took the power after the Second World War in Romania, and Soviet soldiers remains in the country till the end of the 50s to help us to implement the new system. The first leader, Gheorghe Gheorghiu-Dej, had very good relation with Soviets, but also in the last part of his life, after the Soviet army left Romania, starting to be more independent, starting to have more independent decisions, because they understood that they are near Russia, but they were not part of USSR. So Romania was an independent country, if we say that was independent.
And so with that came this certain allowance for independent thought.
Exactly. So Ceausescu discovered also the West. Ceausescu starting to develop also the country, and he realized that he can obtain very good benefits from the East and from the West in the same time. So he was in the middle. So he was used by the West to transmit some messages to the East, but by also from the East he transmitted the messages to the West. So he was used by the both parts, and he knew that, and he tried to take as much as possible from his position.
So he was used as a conduit, a communications conduit.
Yes.
What kind of examples can you give me of the kind of communication and interaction that happened through Romania?
He had very good relations with the Middle East, but also with Israel. So in this problem, he had a very important role in negotiation the position of the West to the Middle East, and also how the Israel needs to focus on what is happening in the Middle East.
If Ceausescu has lines open to the West and the East, where does he draw his influences on when it comes to sport and sports training and sports competition in the Cold War?
It's interesting because in the Cold War, Romania for sure took the Soviet model. But in the same time, after we had the first coaches that were trained in Moscow and Leningrad. After that, we had very good results, and also we create a very important school for coaches in Romania, not only in Bucharest. And the results starting to appear year by year. So Romania had very, very good results from 1952 when we joined the first Olympic after the Second World War till I can say 2000. It's interesting that till 1976, no one of our politicians or leaders from the communist area will use the sport more than internal politics, domestic politics. So they will develop very well the sport for all, because this was the way how the population will be controlled. So all the factories will have a club, all the schools will have a club. So this was the only purpose. Even we have very, very good results. But what is happening in 1976 will change everything that we knew in Romania. Because in 1976 we have the Montreal Olympics, and Nadia Comaneci, the gymnast who took the first 10 in an Olympic arena. So the popularity that Ceausescu will obtain from Nadia Comaneci, but also the popularity will transfer to Romania and automatically to his regime will be so great. So no other political, economical, or cultural event will bring so much popularity, positive popularity to Ceausescu's regime. So after this episode, he will start to use sport in the international speeches. So he will start to use sport to have different negotiated. And this is what's happening with 1984 Olympics. This is the best example that we can have it.
That's really important in terms of why sport matters, isn't it? Because if he then realises that Nadia Comaneci has got all this attention, how does he implement that at the grassroots level?
So it's interesting, first of all, when Nadia Comaneci will come back in the countryside, he realized that the two coaches that Nadia Comaneci have it, they were not Romanians. They were from Hungarian minority. And he was very upset of that. So the first decision that he took it was to change the coaches, because he wanted that the success of Nadia Comaneci will be 100% a Romanian success. But Nadia Comaneci will be moved from the gymnastics school that was in Onești, the city where she was born, to Bucharest. And in Bucharest, she was treated like a VIP person. So she can do whatever she wants, even she was 15 years old. She can practice whenever she wants. So the results will start decrease, not increase. In the same time, gymnastics will become the most famous sport in Romania. So starting with 1977, Ceausescu will transmit the gymnastic competition, the European Championship or the World Championship live on TV. So he will start using Nadia Comaneci as much as possible. But one of the most best example that he did it was to use Nadia Comaneci for different relations with the West. So everybody from BBC, CNN wants an interview with Nadia Comaneci. Everybody wants to write a book about her success, or wants to make a movie or a TV show. So all this will be negotiated directly by the government with a lot of money. And all the money will be sent to some private accounts. So none of this money will go to Nadia Comaneci for sure. But it's another example that he's starting to be open to the West. And a lot of journalists came to Romania during that years to speak with Nadia Comaneci.
The money was stolen.
Yes, stolen. So she didn't know. She knew that the regime told her to do that, you know. When you have, first of all, you need to think that she was pretty young. So when she won in 76, she was 14 years old. So this happened from 1976 till 1980, 81. So she was in her early 20s. So you don't have any decision that you can make. So the system said you to do that, you will do that. It's interesting also that in 1980, we have a very interesting example. First of all, what's happening with Nadia Comaneci in 76 will upset Moscow. Because till that moment, Moscow will have the popularity in gymnastics. This is the reason that till today, there are a lot of journalists who confuse Nadia Comaneci as a Russian gymnast. Also, Nadia, it's a Slavic name. So everybody said, you are from Russia. No, I'm from Romania. So also in Rio, 1 month ago, a journalist told her the same. So, and also the public opinion. So Moscow was very upset on what's happening in 76, you know. Nobody expected something like that, even that Nadia Comaneci won the European tournament. But Moscow was more upset because they knew that in 1980 the Olympics will be in Moscow. So they wanted to have the gymnast that will beat Nadia Comaneci, the gymnast that will beat the perfection, that to transmit the message, look, the perfection doesn't exist, or our gymnast is more perfect than the gymnast who took the first perfect 10. And it's the episode that happened in the all-around final in 1980, when Nadia Comaneci wait for almost 28 minutes to her final note. During this period of time, the gymnasts from Soviet Union finished the competition, and the judges needed to wait to see what note to give Nadia Comaneci, so she'll finish second. This was a very bad episode in Bucharest. Even Nicolae Ceaușescu didn't want to take any position. So he said, we are okay with that. Nadia Comaneci came with the silver medal back, but her coach made a huge scandal in the Olympic arena during the Olympics. Her coach, the coach from the Hungarian minority, because after that Ceaușescu accepted that Nadia Comaneci is good also because of this coach, so she cannot work with somebody else. And it's interesting that after this episode, the coach had a lot of problems. So few months later, he refused to come back from Romania after a tournament in the United States. So till today, the both coaches, Marta and Bela Caroli, are in the United States, and Marta Caroli was coordinated for Rio Olympics for the USA gymnastic team.
That was the period in the Cold War where you had the charming girl gymnast, Olga Korbut, and then even better, the perfect 10 girl, Nadia Comaneci. Assess for me the appeal of Comaneci's gymnastic skill.
First of all, she changed what everybody knew about gymnastics, because till 1976, most of the Olympic championship, as I told you, came from USSR, and they were in the late 20s, I can say. So in 1976, a young girl from 14 years old will beat gymnasts from 24, 26 years old. So she will change this approach, first of all. Now we see that in the last two Olympics, the age of gymnasts increased, but till 2004, the age was somewhere around 16, 17 years old. You cannot have more than one Olympiad, so we have only few examples with gymnasts that took two Olympic editions. So this is the first transformation that she did it. In the same time, she came with a different approach of exercises. So everything is more dynamic. Everything had it's a fast way when you are on the beam or on the floor. So it's something faster than that was in the past. So from that moment, as I told you, with Nadia Comaneci, Bela Caroli, her coach, create a new gymnastic school, and gymnastics in Romania will become the most popular sport, and the results will continue. So we're starting with Nadia Comaneci, but what we have after Nadia Comaneci is better and better. It's interesting that in Rio is the first time in the last 40 years when Romania didn't qualify. So in Romania, it was a very, very big debate. What's happening? Because we had the most important results in gymnastics. How is possible that Romania, who gave Nadia Comaneci and others, will not qualify? And also, how is possible that United States team was coordinated by the Romanian coach gymnast? The British team was coordinated by a Romanian coach gymnast, and so others. So why all these coaches that were formed, especially during the communist period of time, after the revolution, moved from Romania, and they create spectacular teams in other countries.
There's a lot then that's resting on this Cold War period in Romania. Not only spectacular athletes, great gymnastic coaches, good systems, the whole of Romania falls in love with gymnastics. These are real legacies of the Cold War then, to this day.
Yeah, it's interesting, but you know, I'm a researcher, so I look at all these files from all these athletes. I see the athletes somewhere on the top. They were all the time on the podium, and I imagine they have a perfect life. You know, when you come back with a gold medal, that means that everybody will be near you and gave you whatever you want. You are the king or the queen of the country. It was not like this. I read Nadia Comaneci file after 1976. Nadia Comaneci will be all the time spied by Securitatea, the Romanian secret police. Her nickname will be Corina in the file. So I read the file related with Nadia Comaneci, and I was so sad when I see in 85, 86, that the people who spy her wrote that she's very, very upset because she was not able to find soap. So after you retired, you have a normal life like everybody in the country. So you need to work, you need to spend, in the 80s, the life in Romania was not the best one. So you need to wait 6-7 hours in a huge line till you are able to have some yogurt or milk or some chicken. And the same life Nadia Comăneci will have it. Even she was the star. Even everybody knows her. No, after you retired, you'll have a normal salary and a normal life like the others. And Nadia Comaneci, the most important gymnast in the world, she was upset because she was not able to find soap. This is the reason that she decided to run away. It's interesting that in 1981, when her coaches left in United States, actually was a tournament. The name of the tournament in 1981 was exactly Nadia 81. And the tournament was made by the Romanian Gymnastic Federation together with the USA Gymnastic Federation to promote gymnastics, because in 1984 the Olympics will start. So during this tournament, in the last day, Marta and Bela Caroli, the coaches of Nadia Comaneci, remains in the United States. They refused to come back, and they asked her. And they said that she was sure that they are kidding, and not only that they want to test her if she had any thought that she will not come back. So she couldn't understood. She was 21. She couldn't understood that the real life is not what she saw. Because when you are in a camp for training, you have everything that you need. And you don't know what the real life is. The coaches knew what the reality is. So she refused. She said, no, I have everything in the country. Why do you want to remain here? And she was more than sure that it's only a joke. In the airport, she understood that it was not a joke, and they remained. Until 1989, when she ran away from Romania, she didn't spoke with them. Even for LA Olympics, she was in the United States, but this was one of the conditions put it by Securitate to her, that she doesn't have any conversation with the coaches, even they will meet in the Olympic arena, gymnastic sport arena. And she said that in 1 month that she spent in Los Angeles, she met Bela Caroli, her coach, for only 20 seconds. So in that moment, both of them, they understood that they cannot speak, so everybody went to a different direction. So this was everything that she had it for almost 9 years.
5 years after the 84 Games, Nadia Comaneci defected. What can you tell me about that?
At the end of November 1989, she went to a party. She met somebody that was from United States, and she planned to take some Romanians, and she was the last one that joined the group. So she went Romania 29 of November 1989. She walked from Romania border to Hungary. In Hungary, everybody gave her a different position, like the president of Hungarian Gymnastic Federation and stuff like this, and she refused it. She continued her walk to Austria, and from Austria she went directly to the USA Embassy, and she asked for a ticket, and she fly away to New York. And now she's in the United States. She's married with an American gymnast, Bart Karner, and they have together a gymnastics school there, but she's pretty involved in different projects in Romania. So she had a very, very strong relation with Romania till today.
Where does Romania fit in the end of the Cold War?
We are one of the last countries, if you don't mention USSR, that had a revolution. But what is interesting, what's happening in Romania in 1989, in December 1989, we have the only violent revolution. So it's not the same like Hungary, Poland, Czechoslovakia, or East Germany. A lot of people died. Almost 1,000 people died during the days of the revolution in the middle of December 1989. And after that, Romania is the only country who killed the leader. So Ceausescu was killed on the 25th of December 1989.
And post the revolution, has Nadia Comăneci kept up her links with Romania?
Yes, she came back to Romania, I think, in 1994, I'm correct. She had a wedding in Romania, so it was a big wedding. And it's interesting, when she come back, she also, I read in her memories, she said that she didn't know how the people will report on what she did. So she said that she was afraid to come back. So she come back, and it's interesting, but the moment when we knew that Nadia Comaneci is coming back, there were a lot of people from the airport till the hotel that she was accommodated. There were people on the streets with flowers. I remember I was there. I was 10, I think, and I went there with my father, bring her flowers, because she was back to Romania. From that moment, she came regularly, so I can say that she can be every month. She's involved in different social and cultural projects, also sport projects. She was nominated from Romania to become an IOC member, and she was rejected because she's living in the United States and she cannot represent Romania in the IOC if she's in United States. And but she's pretty involved.
And is Nadia Comaneci considered the queen of Romanian gymnastics?
Yes. No. Till today, she's the best gymnast. After that, also we had very good names and very good results, as I told you, in gymnastics. But all the young girls that wants to start gymnastics, she's the image. So I want to go to be like her. And what is also interesting, after 1976, a lot of girls will be named Nadia, because a lot of parents will be very happy with her success. So this was how Nadia became a popular name, I can say, in the 70s, late 70s. Even till that moment, as I told you, it was not so popular. It's a Slavic name, and we are a Latin country, so Nadia is not a popular name today. But in the 70s, it was.
You've been listening to a podcast from the series Key Moments in Cold War Sports History, a project bringing together experts from around the world and hosted here on the Wilson Centre's online digital archive at digitalarchive.org. These podcasts are part of the project The Global History of Sport in the Cold War, which is sponsored by the National Endowment of the Humanities, directed by Professor Bob Edelman of UC San Diego, Professor Chris Young from the University of Cambridge, and Dr. Christian Ostermann of the Woodrow Wilson Centre, and run in collaboration with the German Historical Institute Moscow, the Jordan Centre for Advanced Russian Studies at New York University, and Pembroke College, University of Cambridge. The presenter is Vince Hunt, and the